She was running for Congress, and he's really got Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas, mad. She doesn't want him in the debates. But just finishing up, you have a plan for the post office that I find intriguing because I know, and I read about Benjamin Franklin and the whole setting up the post office and the plan, because the British were always manipulating mail and charging you more or less, and things were notoriously might take a year to even, go 500 miles. People were really sick of it. And our post office was like the model of well-oiled corporate machines later. So how did our government then deliver a system, because it was privatized, that now has become such a problem? And I know big companies want to get rid of it, but couldn't we reform it to create checks and balances with the private corporates? That's a big debate. What's your plan, Doctor?
So, Alex, I don't want to promote anything, but this is a pretty good book I wrote. It's called The Future of Email. And I say it's here and it's dangerous. And one of the chapters...
And again, you're the inventor of email on record.
I invented the first email system, so I know a little bit about email. One of the chapters I have, you can see it, it's called Hillary's Email and the New Caste System. And what I talk about in this book is that when the post office was set up, it was set up as just like the checks and balances of the United States government. The post office was a very important institution. And the goal was that I could send an email to Alex, Alex could send an email to Owen, and no one would intervene with it. And if they did, 20-year prison sentence, right? And it was also designed low cost, and it was pretty amazing. And the Postal Service still today is quite amazing that you could send for a small amount of money, letters all over. And in fact, Amazon exploits the U.S. Postal Service, which Trump has brought
exactly. And if it wasn't there, that infrastructure wasn't there, the corporates would triple charges.
Exactly. So the Postal Service is an amazing institution. Now, in 1997, one of the companies I did, separate from the invention of email, was to actually analyze email. That grew to a very large company. And in 1997, the reason I bring up that date was that was a date that email volume exceeded snail mail or paper mail volume. And I saw this very interesting trend. 4 years before that, you had companies like Hotmail, Yahoo, Google came into the mix, and they were offering public free email services. Everyone remember this? 1993. 1993 was when those companies started coming. Now, 1997, email volume exceeds. So I actually met with the Postal Service while I was running my company, Echo Mail, and I said, look, there's a serious problem here. The U.S. Postal Service should offer a public email service as an alternative to these private free email services. And you guys could probably charge about $50. But you would protect the email
because that would put under federal law's umbrella that no one could read it.
Exactly, because what most Americans don't know is when they sign up for their free
Google and all of them read it all, sell it all.
Read it all, and they're signing away, frankly, their freedom because it says they own it.
Now, remember growing up hearing about dictatorships in third world countries where they read your mail, you get so pissed. Or I had family that lived in Central America, and they'd send us letters, it'd all be ripped open, and nothing in it.
Exactly.
And it was like, oh, these outrageous tyrants. But here it's happening.
Right. So that's what Google and Facebook are fundamentally doing. So the Postal Service was set up. So the Postal Service, these guys who are making a lot of money, these fat cats, not innovators like Franklin. They laughed at me. They said, look, we're the Postal Service. We don't need to do that. We're in the print mail business. What are you talking about email? Well, fast forward 2011.
Sure, they didn't get. Then they could have advertisements. Then they could have other services. They could have been the Amazon.
Exactly. So fast forward to 2011, the morons at the Postal Service announced that they're going out of business, bankrupt. Okay. And I hit them hard again. And there was an article that came out in Time magazine. And I said, look, you guys didn't listen to me. You should have done what I told you to. The IG of the Postal Service contacts me and he says, Shiva, what are you talking about? And I said, look, I gave this solution. He actually hired me, gave me about $100,000 to do 2 reports. And we mapped out, and the reports are public information. We can give them to you, which basically show that the Postal Service could make billions of dollars by offering a public digital service, not only for email, Alex, but for social media services. And it would protect us as Americans. Well, again, I delivered those reports. They threw them in the trash probably because these guys, lawyer lobbyists affect them. They probably, I haven't done the research, but they probably are in collusion with Google, Facebook, et cetera. But the opportunities, the Postal Service, think about it, has all the infrastructure. They have little physical real estate in every little town. Well, on that physical real estate...
And they have the federal law and the culture where they're not allowed to read it.
But it gets even more interesting, Alex. On each of those Postal Service towers, we could put up what are called a mesh network antennas, and we could create our own.
And there you have a true federal communications network. And people go, wait, this is government. We don't want that. The tech companies are already bigger than government.
And this is something that I think President Trump will understand. And Brad Parscale, perhaps, 2020 campaign manager, is something, you know, with Shiva breaking it down.
Because it could be a free network that isn't censored, and it would destroy Facebook and Google and everyone. Exactly. Yeah, that's a hell of an idea. So, like, inventor of email comes up with plan to stop big tech censorship, the post office. That's the headline from this segment.
Exactly. And that's why they want Shiva off the stage for this debate and not in Congress. This right here.
Because if these big companies won't do it, they should be regulated, because they're violating the First Amendment. Let them keep their money all day. Just don't have monopolies. But you're right. It's the post office. We already have the damn infrastructure. Go ahead.
Right. We would create a physical network, which would be independent of AT&T, Vodafone, et cetera. Because remember what Mubarak did in Egypt when the students were protesting, right when the workers came on the street, he made one phone call to Vodafone. We can't have that. So I'm of a deep, and no one.
Because we have Google and the big tech companies attacking Trump and the U.S. government with foreign assets trying to stop our elections. We need our own U.S. communications. We do need U.S. communications.
Second Amendment. We talk about the Second Amendment, but the pen is mightier than the sword. And the First Amendment has been gutted because we've gutted the U.S. Postal Service. And one of the things I would do is to lay out that architecture, resurrect the
Postal Service. And anything goes on it but stuff that's illegal. It has to be absolutely open and free.
Exactly. That's already protected by the laws. We don't have to do that anymore. You know, you can't send illegal stuff, but the most important thing is if anyone interferes, it's 20-year federal sentence. We need a federal digital system, and we already pay for it, and it's there.
Dr. Shiva, you really are a genius. We got to have you up to do a full hour on this because...
Alex, let me just finish this one thing. When Hillary Clinton put her private mail server, we're talking about a caste system. So what's going to happen is the wealthy people will create their own digital networks, and we get the free crap from, you know, Facebook, Google, everyone else. You see, they're creating a two-tier communication.
That's what they all do. And then they cut us out of the marketplace.
Exactly. So, Alex, I think the fundamental issue here is we're probably going to have a revolution in this country the way things are going with this kind of banning. But the patriots like you, myself, others, the quote-unquote alternative media, we need to start organizing as one united front. That is also another piece
of this. That's the answer, not just President Trump taking action. We have to organize into a united front for the First Amendment and deploy ideas, both that are positive and also that are administrative, to people that are already corporately usurping us. We're not calling for regulations. We're calling for laws to block corporate usurpation.
Well, in fact, that's what happened. In the Reagan era, DHL and FedEx, the lobbyists gutted the Postal Service. They took away all the very valuable services, and they left the Postal Service with the spoils. That's what happened in the 80s, and that's why we're suffering today. Alex, you know, look, the debates are planned against the fake Trumper and the fake Indian, and we want to plan massive protests. So if you guys want to come here, we should do this. There's a historic opportunity to expose the fake Indian and the fake Trumpers who are actually usurping.
No, I agree. I'm going into the third dimension now that they're kicking me out of the internet.
What's that?
We're going to come.
Yeah, you guys got to come. We got to raise hell because this is where the revolution took place. And I'm telling you, this singular issue of trying to keep a real Indian off the stage by Elizabeth Warren, who claims is a huge historic opportunity to expose these people. And I say we need to create a massive, massive movement. And what better place in Massachusetts? Alex, you're invited.